Greetings, old school magic players, and welcome to the Four Horsemen.
Greetings, old school magic players. Welcome to the Four Horsemen on a Saturday night. Tonight we're going to be covering some Four Horsemen tournament number 13 finals matches. I'm here with John. John, how is it going?
What's up?
We are back at it again on a Saturday night. We've taken a major hiatus because I had to move, and we're still getting settled in over here, but I got everything set up to do this Tournament 13 match, and John and I are going to take you through it. If you're new to the channel, check us out at fourhorsemenmagic.com and facebook.com/groups/fourhorsemenmtg, and you can play some Four Horsemen Old School Magic, which focuses on Arabian Nights, Antiquities, Legends, and the Dark, all the original four Magic the Gathering expansion sets. John, it's been a long time since we did this tournament. This was all the way back March through May.
Yes, back to Tournament 13. Tournament 14 is also complete now, so you'll get those videos soon after these.
Some of them.
Currently, we're running a summer league. So if anybody wants to jump in, you want to build a deck and just try the format out without having to commit to a league or a bunch of games, you can just play pickup games with people, have a good time. There's people looking for games all the time, so come check us out.
Yeah, the summer league was a great idea, and thanks to you, John, for suggesting that. I just looked at the log today, and there's quite a few matches that have been played, and Lucas and I actually got a couple games in this afternoon, which was pretty fun.
Excellent.
Yeah, so Tournament 13. It's been a real interesting run. I was very pleased we got all the matches in the top 8 quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. If you've watched any of the prior videos, you saw that John bested me, and Philippe bested Peter in the semifinals. So it's going to be Philippe versus John for Tournament 13 finals. And that is... Oops. What was that, John?
Oh, I was just going to say, after winning, 8 tournaments in a row, Peter finally lost the game to Philippe, and I was happy to play Philippe in the finals, win or lose. It was just going to be good to have somebody new at the top of the ticket. I was a little relieved when he beat Peter, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was an interesting in-person match, and we don't get to do a lot of those in-person matches, so that's always fun. Those guys live up in where do they live? Ontario, is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah, so they got to play that match in person, and we're going to be doing the finals tonight. So Philippe emerged victorious 2-0 versus Peter with his Tax Edge Lightning deck. And John, you are running your ever-famous James Bond-themed Never Say Never Again mono blue control deck. We can take a look at the deck pictures, and we've already kind of thoroughly reviewed these deck pictures, so if you've seen our prior videos, you've probably already seen the deck text on these, but we can just briefly touch on some highlights. John, I think overall the power of mono blue and artifacts, Triskelion, Clockwork Avian, and Amnesia is super strong.
Certainly. It's been a good deck. I did not necessarily intend to just keep playing different iterations of this, but I ended up playing it 3 tournaments in a row, and just tweaking it here and there. It's funny. I took a really nice deck picture in both tournament 12 and 14, where all the cards are spread out on a large table, and then of course the lazy picture is the one that we get to look at right now, the tournament 13 photo. It still looks fine, but it's not as good as the others.
I always like your deck photos because you lay your cards out nicely. You do the tournament stamp and your signature. It's always nice. But this deck is tough, man. Those time elementals, the amnesias. You've got a lot of great backup cards with some really cool backup plans in your sideboard. And, it's just tough to break through the force spikes, the boomerangs, the remove souls, all the blue flyers. You even got the recall to get stuff back. And, this deck is just so strong. And I really think it's like the epitome of your blue control deck as the format's evolved.
Yeah, it's been really solid, and we'll see, some of the little tweaks and changes I made when we get into this match where they, come into play. I just double checked. Peter's in Quebec, so not to offend our Canadian friends. Quebec is where they
Quebec, not Ontario. Got it. All right, so let's take a look at Philippe's deck. Like I said, if you've seen the prior videos, you've seen the deck text on this. And Peter helped Philippe work on this deck. These two guys did a lot of brainstorming, strategizing, and testing. And the really cool tweaks are these, one power creatures that come out on turn 1 so that you can basically get in for damage and force the trigger of land tax, which is a super strong strategy.
Yeah, I really like this deck. I mean, we had kind of been a little surprised that Land's Edge has not really shown up much in the top 8 or at least in the higher brackets. We kind of thought that this would be a deck that would be all over the place. We have had a couple people try to play it, but I think that this is a very deliberate spin on it that Philippe and Peter have done. They really looked at all their card choices and weighed their options, and you'll, as you mentioned, the little guys in here, you've got 10 1-drops, which is huge. You're always going to want to stick one of those early, and then they just kind of paper cut you to death while you're trying to play around their land tax. I think that the ball lightnings are kind of interesting. There's actually 6 triple red cost cards in here, which to me seems a little tough. Like, if I was deck building, I might have a hard time playing 6 triple red cards, but he seems to be able to land them often, and he makes good use of both of these creatures in our match. So it's pretty solid.
Yeah, those Yidwin-Afrits are really tough on the defense. And he's also got that one-off Ivory Tower, which is another 1-drop, and the Winds of Change. If he happens to get totally mana host, he could possibly not have to mulligan if he's got a Winds of Change. So the Spirit Links are 1, the Chain Lightnings are 1, and then of course the Brassman and Tundra Wolves and those Clergy. So it's a really, really cool build, and it's no surprise that these two decks, John's Never Say Never Again Mono Blue Robots and Philippe's Tax Edge Lightning Red White, made it to the finals to face off. John, are we ready to...
I kind of like that idea that you just mentioned, that rather than mulling again, just jamming a Winds of Change on turn 1.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still an additional card behind because you're going to play the land and you're going to lose the Winds of Change and only replace the rest. But it's always satisfying when you either cast Winds of Change or, in other formats, Wheel of Fortune, and then your opponent just kind of sighs because, they liked their hand. Mm-hmm. They kept their hand. And then you just make them shuffle it away and get something else. Hopefully worse for them.
Yeah, and in some of my earlier comments, I kind of felt like the Winds of Change when I first looked at this was like the weakest card in this deck. And we talked about how you can very easily find yourself Winds of Changing away a bunch of lands that you land taxed for, and simply drawing more lands because all those lands go back in. So. Maybe that's what the strategy is it's another way to operate on just 1 mana if you have to for a while, which is pretty cool. All right, so without any further ado, let's get into The Tournament 13 Finals, Tax Edge Lightning versus Never Say Never Again. John and I have got this match queued up in VLC player. Let me switch over to VLC. Let's see here, what's going on. There we are. All right, I gotta size my screen correctly. 1 second, John. I'll be ready.
Sure.
I had it set up for the last match that we did. It was a different size screen. All right, that should work right there. Okay, there we go. All right, John. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, so we've got this match playing at 1.5x. Got John on the left and Philippe on the right. So, John, do you remember this match?
Yeah, I do now. Now that we looked at the deck lists and we've started talking about it, I'm getting some recollection of it because it is a long time ago. This was 4+ months ago, I think, that we played this match. But I do remember it, and I do remember being, as I mentioned before, relieved that I was playing Philippe and not Peter. And I thought, hey, great, maybe Philippe will be the champion, or maybe I will, but we'll have somebody different taking down this tournament. And he does he mulligan? He mulligans game 1, which is always a bad feeling. You're all keyed up and you're going into the finals and you've been doing really well, and then you're like, oh cool, I have to mulligan. Although I don't think his deck suffers too much. Given all the 1-drops and given the land tax strategy, I don't think it's that big of a deal to be down 1 card. I can say, though, that I feel like I had the advantage in this match only because I didn't really care if I won it or not. And so I was pretty relaxed about it, but I think Philippe was definitely looking to beat me. He's got an interesting setup going with his camera here. I think he's got his phone like propped on top of this long thing over on the right here. I remember it took him a while to get that set up the way that he was happy with, but we finally got there. Man, he's mulling again. He's mulling down to 5 now.
Wow.
Which has got to be a bad feeling.
Well, I mean, on the other hand, it could be aggressive mulliganing because you can recoup, 3 cards. You could mulligan 3 times and recoup 3 cards. Wow, he's mulliganing again. Did you see that?
Oh my god. I mean, I get wanting to have a land tax or wanting to have a 1-drop or whatever, but like mulling into oblivion seems not great. So I can't imagine he mulls below 4. I don't think he does. If memory serves right, I think he keeps 4. But that really seems extreme to me. Even for aggressive mulliganing, I feel like 4 is really pushing it.
Well, when players are in person, they can flash their hands to the screen, which is kind of a cool aspect of in-person play. You can't do that safely when you're playing a webcam game.
I do it sometimes though. It's funny in the last match that you and I played that you just released today. There's a couple times where late in the match, I just quickly show like the cards that are in my hand, and I don't know if you saw them when I did that or not, but the audience gets to see them.
It's always
kind of fun.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it makes it more exciting for the viewers for sure. Okay, so Philippe looks like his camera fell. Damn. This is not Philippe's day. He's having a triple mulligan and the camera's falling off.
And I'm just chilling out over there with my 7 cards, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. This hand's fine. All the same mid-range bullshit. like, my deck doesn't have any aggressive starts, so, like, I almost never mulligan with it, because it's all the same, like, you know, boring 4-drops and whatnot. Alright, so off to the races. We're finally playing some cards. He's got a wolf on turn 1, so that's cool. Ooh, Felwarstone. I'm gunning. Brassband comes down. And land tax.
Yeah, so there you go. So now he'll be right back in it. And now the interesting thing is you've got the Felwarstone. So if you were to be able to drop another Felwarstone, then his whole land tax strategy would be hosed.
Yeah, that would be the optimum play, I feel like, here, because I don't really have any 3-drops in my deck much, so I just decide I don't care.
Yeah.
I just jam another land and I keep going.
Yeah, if
get my ghost ship out there.
Right.
Because, like, what's he gonna do about ghost ship, right? Like,
I mean, always he can spirit link it.
He can spirit link it. He can also bloodlust the guy, I guess, in order to if I block.
Mm-hmm. He's also got chain lightning, so he could attack, have you block, and then chain lightning, but then you'll just regenerate.
Yeah, if I have the mana up. So probably I won't block this turn, even if he attacks, just for fear of losing my guy. But we'll see.
But that, you know, John, that's really interesting too, because this Felwarstone. Ooh, there's a ball lightning coming.
Look at that ball lightning. Look at that ball lightning.
Boom. Yeah. So you're just gonna. I'm
just gonna eat it.
I'm surprised he didn't just attack with everybody and go ahead and lose one of his dudes and get in that extra damage.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the 1 point is worth losing a guy or not. And he knew I wouldn't block, right? So he knew I'd be taking 6 on the chin either way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think this is a bit of an uphill battle for him now, because he has 2 weenies and I have 2 2/4s. Like, what is he gonna, you know? That's tough. That's hard to get around. And in fact, I might as well just attack, because I have twice as much power on board as he does.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying earlier about the Felwarstone is, if you happen to have had that second Felwarstone for turn 2, his whole strategy could have been at risk, because you can drop through your 4-drops without ever triggering land tax, which is really interesting, because that shows you the power of Felwarstone. Yeah,
I think it's definitely a card worth playing. There was some debate in different iterations of my list when you know, you've done some cool like deck tech videos where you kind of did a preview of, you know, decks from the tournament.
Yeah.
And there was one that I wasn't in that I forget. I think it might have been Michael Schaffnecker, but they were going back and forth talking about, you know, the merits of Felwarstone. But I definitely am a believer. I think it's a necessary card to play in this format.
Yeah.
It just gets me to. I'm playing enough 5 and 6 drops that it gets me up there.
Yeah.
And, you know, my Sky game is pretty strong against him right now. He did Spirit Link the Avian. So I don't have that to attack with, but that's fine. I just keep playing flyers.
Yeah, that Felwarstone allowed you to play that Clockwork, because you don't have the Clockwork Avian, because you don't have your 5th land yet. So even though it did get Spirit Linked, you're able to just continue on with the blue flyer sprawl. So Philippe's quickly down to 10, and you're at 13, so it's really close now. And he's got so much land in play now that land tax triggers are not going to matter. He's putting those lands into his hand. So he's keeping his land count at 3, and he just put 3 lands in his hand. So
he's in real trouble here, because what I can do... Oh, he's got another Spirit Link. Well, that helps. Because had he not had that... Wait a minute. What did he do here?
It looks like he Spirit Linked his own guy, his brass man, to gain life.
That was an interesting and strange choice, because what I can do on my turn is I can swing with everything. And if he dies before, if I do him enough damage to cause lethal, he won't gain the life from the Spirit Link on the Avian.
Yeah, because it happens at the end of turn, 10. Right?
Yeah, but because he's going to gain this 1 point of life, that'll stop me from getting in for 10 next turn. I'll only be able to get in for 6. That's interesting.
So that ties it up. Now, is he going to play land and play Land's Edge? No. Yeah, it's interesting. He Spirit Linked his own guy instead of Spirit Linking yours.
Well, I guess he just really wanted to make sure he gained that point of life to put himself out of the death zone for the next turn. Because if he stayed at 10, I would have just killed him.
Right. Okay, so you're hitting with the 3 blue flyers for 6, and you're holding the Clockwork back to block. Interesting. Okay, so he goes down to 5. And this still feels pretty close, because now he's land taxing again, so he's got a whole handful of land now. He could drop his Land's Edge right here and drop all his lands on you. I wonder if you're...
Yeah, the only fear is I might be holding lands.
That's
too,
what I was going to say. I wonder if you're holding lands here, because you only need those 4 now since you've got Fellwar Stone out there. You don't need any more, so you've got 4 cards in hand. What if you're holding... Oh, what's going on? Just scooping it up.
Yeah, he just scooped it up because he couldn't get there.
Oh, dang. He must not have had Land's Edge. That's tough. If he had it and you didn't have lands in your hand, he could have easily won right there. Wow.
Well, we're going close. He would have had to do me 11, so I guess, yeah, he might have been able to kill me.
Yeah, 6 lands, boom. That's 12 damage. So he clearly did not have the Land's Edge, and couldn't get it. So that game actually could have gone either way. It could have gone his way if he had just gotten the Land's Edge he needed. But you probably don't remember if you were holding lands or not. Do you recall?
I don't at this point. I think I mentioned it to him when we were talking. I was like, oh, you could have a Land's Edge, but I could have lands or whatever, psyching them out. But I don't remember if I actually had lands in my hand or not. So that was a fairly quick game given the nature of these decks. I mean, he has a pretty fast deck, but
yeah,
I'm pretty mid-rangey. But I was able to really just jam creature after creature and just beat him down in the air.
Hey, John, should we pause real quick and go to the sideboard and talk about sideboarding?
Yeah, we can do that. Sure.
All right, on 3. 1, 2, pause. Okay, so let's go back over and check out the deck photos. Let me switch back. Okay, so let's start with you, John. What are you going to sideboard here?
Let's take a look. What can I bring in that would be good against him? I don't think I bring in the Flash Floods because he doesn't. Most of his creatures are either white or artifact, and I'm not that worried about one-time ball lightnings. I guess it would be good against the Ifrit, and it's not that good against land tax either because he can just use it before you destroy it, like in response to you hitting it with the flood. Mm-hmm. So I don't actually know that any of my sideboard is that good against his aggressive deck. I don't necessarily want any of this stuff. It does look like I was sideboarding though, so I'm kind of wondering, I'm trying to remember what was my strategy here. Did I bring in a couple of the life gain cards? I mean, I do have, I've got Force Spikes in my main board that I frequently side out game 2. But I don't know that I did against him because he's playing so few lands that they really punish him for trying to only play on a couple of lands because then I can just Force Spike his stuff.
I love Force Spike here. Think about it, John. Like, if you go first or whatever, if you've got one land up and he plays Ivory Tower and he's sticking to his one land strategy, you can Force Spike it, or any of his one drops, or even land tax itself. Or if he's only got 3 lands and he plays Land's Edge, you can Force Spike the Land's Edge. Force
Spike that, yeah. It's pretty actually solid in this match. I really like it. So I probably left it in. So I may have trimmed, I may have just trimmed here and there. I may have trimmed like
the Amnesias, maybe.
The Clockwork Avian, and then probably trim the Amnesias because I'm never going to be able to play those against him.
Right.
And then just brought in, I don't know. I might have brought in like the Fountain of Youth and the Ivory Tower, just to stay out of range, and maybe I bring in the Diamond Valley as well. Just the 3 life gain cards, just so that I have something to stay out of range if he gets a bunch of lands and a land tax and a Land's Edge all together.
Interesting. Yeah, the Clockworks are expensive. So, a Clockwork would be a good option. The Triskelions are expensive too, but then they can wipe out his weenies and deal damage. So, yeah, you don't need the Maze of Ith really as much, don't you think? You could pull that out.
You don't need it much, although I think I probably left it just because a lot of times his strategy is to stick one little guy and try to like just get in there with it over and over and over. And if you just drop a maze, like what are they going to do? He does have one strip mine, but
okay. Well, what about this? What about this, John? The only creatures you're really worried about that's going to be heavy hitting that you can do something about is the Ball Lightnings and the Yidwin Ifrits. So, did you think about maybe sideboarding out the Remove Souls and maybe putting in?
I could have just replaced the Remove Souls with the Flash Floods.
Yeah.
And then when those creatures came in, just destroy them like after the fact.
Yeah.
Which probably would have been the right thing to do, but I don't think I did that.
Yeah, that's something I was just thinking because you're gonna be aggressively trying to get your Azure Drakes and Ghost Ships and whatnot into play. So you're probably not going to be holding back that 2 mana to counter his big fat creature when they're going to come out on turns 1 and 2 anyways. So yeah, maybe sideboarding out the 4 Remove Souls and putting in the 4 Flash Floods, and then doing what you said, take out the 1 Clockwork and the 2 Amnesias and put in your Tower, your Fountain, and your Diamond Valley. I think that would be pretty solid. And
yeah, pretty solid. I mean, I already liked my odds against that deck anyway, but like that seems pretty good.
All right, so let's check out Philippe's deck. Since you've played this match, let me just kind of think about what I would sideboard. Obviously, the active volcanoes are a no-brainer. Those have to go in. King Suleiman, not going to help much. Cleanse could help, depending. Blood Moon. Don't know. Let's see. I mean, you are running some utility lands. The Strip Mine, the Workshop, the Factory, the Maze, and the Teleria are all non-basics. I just don't think Blood Moon is worth it here. You're not playing 2 colors. You're playing colorless. So I think I would forego the Blood Moons and go for the Cleansing. So the Divine Offerings are going to be really strong against you, though, because of all your robots. So the Divine Offerings have to come in, and the active Volcanoes have to come in, but that's 8 cards right there, and that's without even bringing the Cleanse. So, yeah,
I really like it, because even though those are good against me, like, if he jacks his deck up by bringing in 8 to 10 cards, like, he's really going to have to whittle into his own strategy in order to make that work, which is totally okay with me. So, like, here's the question: what does he take out? Right? Does he dump,
I know what I would take out.
Winds of Change and Bloodlust. Yes. Let me know what you would take out.
Winds of Change to me is the card that has to go here. He's going to be wanting to hold his lands for the Land's Edge damage anyway, and Winds of Change is only going to be good if you've got a full hand and he's able to dump a lot of stuff and then get you to ditch your hand. So I think what I would do is I would ditch the 4 Winds of Change and put in the 4 Divine Offerings, because that's going to go after all your robots, your Fellwar Stones, everything. And then I would take out the 2 Yidwin Ifrits, and you won't need the Ivory Tower if you've got the Divine Offerings. So I would take out the Ivory Tower and the Yidwin Ifrit, and I would put in 3 of those active Volcanoes, and then since you're going to be able to deal with a lot more creatures with those Divine Offerings, maybe I would take out one of the Brass Man and put in that 4th active Volcano.
Yeah, I like it. That seems pretty solid. I mean, I know that from playing the match, if memory serves anyway, I'm pretty sure he keeps the Yidwin Ifrits. And we actually joke about it when he plays one, because he beats me up with it pretty good, even though I was like, wow, I would have sideboarded that out. I'm surprised it's still in there.
Spoiler alert. And, spoiler alert.
He also hits me with a Cleansing, I think, at some point. So we'll maybe see those cards.
All right. Well, let's get back into the match then. This is the Tournament 13 Four Horsemen Finals. Tax Edge Lightning versus Mono Blue Flyers Robots. And we will switch back over to the video. All right, John, on the count of 3, you ready? 1,
Yep.
2, 3. All right, so we're back playing here at 1.5x. I see you guys are still sideboarding, I think, is what's going on here.
Yeah, we just had started sideboarding when we switched over to look. So it looked like I brought in maybe 4 or 5 cards. It looks like I'm still deciding what to take out. And, you know, obviously, like you said, he'll probably bring in a fair number of cards as well. For me, a lot of times, if I win game 1, unless there's like a really, really compelling sideboard option that's a real no-brainer against the deck I'm playing against, I will often just run back my main board game 2, and then sideboard game 3 if I lose. You know, just if I feel like I'm already firing on all cylinders and my deck's already reasonably good against theirs, you know, rather than mucking with it.
Right.
But in this case, there's definitely some dead draws at the top of the curve there. Like, I'm never going to get to amnesia him, you know, and even if I do, he's just going to have a handful of land that he's gotten off of his land deck, so, like, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, that's right.
I played the full 4 copies in this tournament. I had 2 main, 2 side, and that's really, it's just overkill. Like, I really could have had something else in my sideboard and just played the 2 main. I mean, it's a good card. It's in certain matchups, it really, like, breaks the stalemate.
Yeah, like our match. Like, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, it was pretty good in that match, but it's not good in this one.
Yeah, because my deck was slow, and I was holding a lot of instants in my hand, disharmonies and things like that, and, yeah, I mean... Amnesia really punishes a deck that's slow to get set up, and of course it's useless really against a fast weenie deck. So it's got its drawbacks too.
For sure.
All right, so
here we go. Looks like we're good to get into it. Hopefully, we will keep. I don't remember if anybody has to mulligan or not.
You know, Philippe has made it into the quarterfinals, semifinals, and I think has he made it to the finals before? I think he has. Gotten second place.
He's done well in several of our tournaments.
Yeah, he's always scoring high.
Definitely top 8 a bunch.
Yeah,
he's been around, I think, since the very beginning. I'm pretty sure Philippe played in tournament 1.
Yeah, he did.
Or if not 1, it was like 2 or 3. It's pretty early on.
He's played with us since the beginning.
Yeah.
All right, so no first turn drop for Philippe. That is a big deal. The fact that he drops a mountain first and not a plains. There comes the brass
and then into a strip mine. So now he's got colorless and red, which is kind of, and 2 lands, which isn't really where he wants to be, because now even if he gets a white, that's going to put him at 3 lands, which is already pushing his strategy. But
oh, there's Peter.
Oh, look, Peter comes in to watch.
That's funny. Yeah, he's jumping in to spectate. He wants to see his protege. And how he's doing. All right. Well, Brassman is going to be hitting in, but and I guess he can pay the 1 each time, no problem.
He's got nothing else to do, so he might as well.
So he strips your island. Ooh, I don't know about that.
It's pretty aggressive. I mean, I get it. Like, it's pretty aggressive. Like, that colorless mana is not that good for him, and his deck doesn't need that much mana. So when I'm playing a mid-range deck and I do that early, I always regret it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always wish that I had that extra colorless mana later to do something with. But in this case, when he's, like, already kind of stumbling and he doesn't really get anything out of that land, I think it was a fine move for him to just slow me down a little bit and give himself an extra turn, you know. Because that just puts me one more turn away from playing my stupid 4 drops and 5 drops.
I guess that's true, and he's plinking away with 1 damage each time. All right, he finally got a plains, and now he's doing Winds of Change. Interesting. So he did not sideboard out the Winds of Change. Oh, looky there. Force Spike on the Winds of Change. John, you must like your hand.
He was... I don't remember if he was amused by that or annoyed by it when I Force Spiked it. But I was like, do I like my hand? Do I not like my hand? No, I like my hand.
Yeah, and he was probably counting on that Winds of Change. Well, your land is a Maze of It, so that's going to slow down the Brass Man and change things. Interesting.
Not even worth untapping the Brass Man for 1 mana if I'm going to Maze it. It just makes Brass Man completely useless.
Okay, so, yep. So now Tundra Wolves comes down, and the Remove Soul. You did not take the Remove Souls out. Okay. Interesting.
That feels so dumb, Remove Souling a Tundra Wolves.
It really
like, it's so hilarious.
Yeah, that's probably the first time in Magic history that's ever happened. Remove Souling a Tundra Wolf. Wow. Okay, now...
I mean, I guess it's just all about tempo, right? His Strip Mine was about tempo, and my Remove Souling a 1-drop was about tempo. And boy, that's pretty good.
That's real good. The Workshop,
ripping Workshop into Avian. Oh, there's the Spirit Link.
There's the Spirit Link. Yeah, getting that Avian down just out of nowhere with that Workshop that comes up is super strong. Now you've got so many lands now. You're just like full steam ahead. Who cares about, another Clockwork. Wow. Who cares about land tax now, right?
Yeah. I'm just like last game. I'm like, I'm just going to ignore what you're doing. I don't care. I'm just going to play guys.
Well, that's the beauty of your deck, is it can just play and play and play, and you still got your blue mana to counter stuff with your Force Spikes and your Remove Souls. Boomerang. Ooh, looky there. Boomerang in back. So that was in response to the... I was going
to boomerang the other one to get rid of the...
well, he was trying to Divine Offering.
Get rid of the link, but
he tried to Divine Offering.
I ended up boomeranging that one so he didn't gain life.
Right.
I didn't want him to gain the life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's the right move. All right, so he comes back down. Yeah, that's the tricky thing about Divine Offering is the boomerangs are a real challenge. Okay, so there's another Spirit Link. Wow. Is that the 3rd Spirit Link? Or 2nd?
Second this game, I think. He did Link Offering and then Link again.
Here comes the Ghost Ship and the Jaloom Tome. Oh, Felwarstone. And a Mana Burn.
Shoot.
Mana Burn. I thought it was gonna be Jaloom Tome, but oh, look at that. There's his active Volcano to get rid of that.
I mean, I would have preferred that it was Jaloom Tome. That would have been a nice card to have there.
Sure.
I don't remember if I was playing 1 or 2 copies of Jaloom Tome in this build, but I feel like I should definitely play 2.
I think you're playing 1, yeah.
Oh man, this month in Fallen Empires 40, it's the Unlimited Chronicles month, and so my deck is like 43 Chronicles cards and 2 Fallen Empires cards, and it's great.
That's awesome. Oh, now here's the Fountain of Youth. So you did put in a life gain.
I did put in the life. I thought I remembered putting in some life gain. Whether or not it's really going to prove to be anything worthwhile, I don't know.
Well, you'll be gaining at least 1 life a turn now for the rest of the game.
It's a difficult position for him to be in where all my creatures are just better than all of his creatures for the most part.
Yeah.
Because just those Drakes will beat in. They'll just be beating in for 4 now if he doesn't have another answer in the air or another link or whatever. He's going to run out of, Spirit Links and tricks.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot. Having those mulligans in the early game and not getting the Land's Edge, and then in this game, Strip Mine and Mountain for his early lands really set him on his back foot.
And now I've just got all the mana in the world, so it's really tough for him.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe my memory's bad, but I could have swore that he played a Yidwin Ifrit in this game. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe that was in a different match that we played. I think we may have played again for fun after this as well. So my recollection might be hazy. All right, so he's wins a changing.
Yeah, and you only had one card, right?
I only get one card off of it, yeah. I don't know how many he's drawn. I wasn't keeping track. We'll see here in a second. Oh, a bunch. I think there were like 5 or 6 cards there he just dealt out to himself. And I'll just get my one card back. Too little too late on that land tax, I feel. I don't think that's going to make much of a difference.
Yeah, it is a bit late, isn't it?
I mean, he will get to double land tax next turn, which is, I guess, pretty good if he can then play a Land's Edge and hit me for 12.
Yeah,
but that's not quite enough to kill me.
Oh, there's another active volcano and another force spike. Ooh, oh my gosh. Oh, he threw his hands down in frustration. Look at that. Oh man.
I force spiked his active volcano because he only had one. See, this is what I was talking about. Force spike is just such salt in the wound here in this match, I feel.
It really is. It's so brutal.
So there's his. He does get his 6 lands off of his double land tax.
All right, it looks like he's got.
Oh my God! What if he plays a Land's Edge here and I force spike that too? That would really just be the worst.
Yeah, he better leave one land up. He can do it. He can do it. He's got the 2 red and the white, so.
Yeah, he does have an extra.
But you can actually gain 1 life here.
Yeah, he really needs to kill me now, because if he doesn't kill me now, I'm gonna start gaining at least 1 life a turn.
Well, he would need to have 9 lands, so he would need to have the 3 plus the 3 plus 3 more. He would have needed to have 3 lands already, and then the extra 6
in hand already. Plus the Land's Edge, plus the 6.
But even with that, you could pay 2 and gain 1 life, and you'd be at 1.
And on my turn, I can just swing in for the win and kill him, even though those Spirit Links are on those guys, because I can come in for 12.
Right.
And he'll just die. So yeah. I think it's game over, which is pretty crazy.
I think it is game over.
I mean, there's 8 minutes left in this match. Unless maybe we just talk or whatever, but I think he's in trouble.
Yeah,
I don't think he's coming back from this.
I feel bad for Philippe because I feel like he did another wins a change. Look at that. I feel like he got really bad draws. Oh man, he got really bad draws on that first game. The triple mulligan was just impossible to come back from, and then getting the strip mine in the mountain, no early plains. I think it really hurt him.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that was tournament 13, the finals. We'll take one good look at the decks again. Tax Edge Lightning, Mono Blue Robots, never say never again. Hats off to Philippe for his 2nd place finish. He's really come quite far with this Tax Edge Lightning deck. It's the best performing Tax Edge deck we've seen in Four Horsemen by far, and we've seen a lot of these Tax Edge decks since the very early days. You can check them out on fourhorsemenmagic.com. Just go to the tournament section and check out the deck photos, or there's a deck library under the deck repository. You can check out all the decks that have hundreds and hundreds of really cool Four Horsemen decks that have been published on the site. But really cool decks. Hats off to you, John. This is your 2nd first place win in Four Horsemen, right?
Yeah, I won way back in tournament number 3 with Mono Blue Robots, but a little bit different build than this. Back when everything was basically unrestricted. It was the Wild West, and that was quite a deck. So both times with Mono Blue Robots, it seems to still be pretty strong, even with the restrictions and Mana Drain and Workshop and Factory. Even with all those things restricted, Strip Mine's restricted now. it's still a very powerful deck. I mean, Triskellion's a hell of a card. I've leaned really hard on Clockwork Avian in a lot of my decks that I've built. I feel like that card's been really good for me.
Yeah, it's super strong. It's very underplayed, and nobody else really realizes how good a 4/4 flyer for 5 is in this format. It's super strong. It's like it's the Sarah Angel Singer Vampire of the format kind of card.
It is, really. It is.
Yeah, so congrats,
I mean, obviously,
John.
it's not as good as either of those cards, but for our purposes, it is, because those things don't exist in our card pool.
So you've already got a Guardian Beast playmat. I'll have to think of something else to send you, because I know we mailed off the Tournament 14 mat to Tim. Have you had a chance to send the Tournament 14 envelope prizes yet?
I have not, but I will. I'm off next week, so I will get those in the mail.
Did you get that?
I did get your stack of cards that you sent. Yeah, I got your big batch you sent me.
Yeah.
So I can send them both out of your stack and out of mine.
That's all of them, John. I sent you the last. So once those are gone, they're gone. That's it.
So people are gonna get some fat envelopes, and I think they'll enjoy it.
That'll be awesome.
But don't send me anything. Like winning is my reward for this tournament. That was pretty fun. You know, I almost won tournament 10, and I lost to Peter in the finals. I made a pretty bad misplay, and then I feel like I lost another tournament in the finals as well. And it was just good to take this iteration of this deck all the way. It kind of got it out of my system. Yeah, I actually did play a pretty similar deck in tournament 14, only because the deck that I had made for tournament 14 I decided sucked, so I just kind of leaned back on blue. But you won't see me play blue again in tournament 15. I'll have the Summer League has really afforded me the opportunity to test out some different builds and some different colors. So I will have something totally new to play with when we come back in the fall.
Cool, man. Well, congratulations again, John, on your second first place win in Four Horsemen Old School Magic. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you supporting the channel, and if you want to play in some old school Four Horsemen Magic, check us out. fourhorsemenmagic.com, facebook.com/group/4horsemenmtg. With that, John and I will be signing off. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Good night.